Keep talking. Sorry, I was looking at the thing. I was like, I can't actually hear you too well. As in, like, you're a little bit quiet. Or maybe I'm just fucking yelling. Like, let me check the settings on this bad boy, because
I mean,
my waveforms are gigantic, and I'm not even. We're about the same distance away from the microphones. I'm like, why am I so loud?
even in mine, I can't hear myself that well compared to last week.
Yeah, this is wildness. Let me just get over technique. So this will count as an intro. We're finding our feet still, like, as I'm realizing, as Stephen essentially just mentioned, we have a penchant for ripping on the Undertaker. Going over our last episode, I just want to clear the air. Like, he is a legend. He is one of the greatest of all times. He just can't act.
He can't act. For the last 10 years, he hasn't been able to wrestle either.
Fuck, man. Like, we're doing it again, Stephen.
Start as you mean to go on, okay? We're just going to give up on Smarks and make this the Fuck Mark.
Fuck Mark podcast.
Marks.
Oh, no, but seriously, I do love The Undertaker. Like, without him, my favourite wrestler wouldn't even exist. Right, so the hot take being that I personally, having grown up watching it, I don't think The Invasion is as bad as wrestling fans make out. I think it's, in fact, I would go as far as to say that it's very Mark-like to hate on The Invasion.
Mark-like?
Yeah, and I can explain why. I know that seems like contradictory, but I think it is Mark-like to hate on it now. The same way, and my analogy that I've been prepping for a long time, for the same reasons that I think most Star Wars fans hate on The Phantom Menace for reasons that aren't their own.
Oh, I was going to go down a rabbit hole there and say now we have to discuss whether The Phantom Menace is a good film. But no, it makes sense because it's kind of an online overwhelming majority of people in an echo chamber. Everyone's saying what they've heard from their mate.
Yeah.
And then just running with it.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, yes, the reasons and I suppose the issues with it are valid. But I don't think I don't think it's legitimately why people don't like it. I think people say they don't like it because they feel like they should say they don't like it. It makes them look like a stronger wrestling fan if they say, "Oh yeah, The Invasion." It's like an easy win. It's like, yeah, The Invasion, that fucking sucked. You know, they should have got Sting. Like, no, fuck that. I remember watching The Invasion, and bear in mind, I was about 8, coming on 9 that year. Have been watching wrestling for about 4 or 5 years at this point. Not even 4 or 5 years. I don't know, about 3 years. And I was super excited. I loved every moment of it. And despite feeling somewhat like disappointed by aspects of it, like, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have that much knowledge of WCW. Like, I had incorrect knowledge of WCW. Like, all I knew of it, because I was English and, we didn't have Nitro over this side. WCW was almost like an urban legend. Like,
I was going to say, how easy was it to access WCW?
There was none. We had no access to WCW over here. So, in fact, the term the Monday Night Wars is something that I became aware of when I was like 20. Like, considering I was watching wrestling at the time, was not aware of the ratings battles going on because I was a kid. And I would argue most people, especially this side of things, in Europe, we weren't engaged in wrestling for the Monday Night Wars or even comparing things like that. So caring about certain people coming over from WCW is not a valid argument for me at the time because I was too ignorant to know what was really going on. And you had to have a deep understanding of how the whole wrestling world worked and how the two promotions, not just on a basic level, was like, oh, he just works for that side. Like, no, it went deeper than that. There was contracts involved. My point being, none of that was relevant to an 8-year-old. And I would argue that most people experience of it, especially like myself, was the same. And I felt like you're hating on it for all the reasons that have been fed to you. Yes, in retrospect, it would have been also if the NWO had come a year earlier. But that's just not how it happened. And I still enjoyed it. I personally loved The Rock and Booker T. I know that wasn't one of the first feuds that even came out of it. But I really enjoyed that matchup. And looking back at it now, it actually also made a lot of sense as well. Booker T had just been the last WCW champion. I know I'm getting into it now, Not that I even knew that at the time, but his gimmick when he came in was 5 times, 5 times. You know, he's doing the hand in the face almost just before the John Cena.
He was Booker T straight out of the gate.
Yeah, and like I as a kid, I remember appreciating and sort of like at least understanding. Okay, it's a big deal if he's been WCW champion 5 times, and in my head, that's like 5 times at the same time. I don't know. I didn't understand how it really worked because WCW was foreign to me essentially. I just knew the Nitro games on N64. Like, you know, I'd seen 4 variants of Sting, a wrestler who, as we'll get into, I think has one of the greatest legacies in my mind, but I've never seen the man wrestle. Okay, I have.
I think we mentioned this last week, and I'm only 1-0 up on you. I've only ever seen 1 Sting match.
Like, as in, I've watched old WCW now, but like, I feel like it doesn't count. As in, like,
no.
As a fan, when I was growing up, I'd never saw Sting, but I knew who he was. I always knew who Sting was. From a child, I always knew who Sting was. He was like a legend. But again, I didn't understand how or why I didn't get access to Sting and Rey Mysterio when I was a kid. You know, Rey Mysterio coming to WWE was a huge thing. And that was sort of, I realized again, back end after the invasion, I didn't connect the dots that like he had come later from WCW. I don't know. I wasn't.
It's just a new
dots.
face.
Yeah, I wasn't.
He's
really
a new guy who's come in.
I had known of Rey Mysterio. Like I said, I'd seen him in the game, so it was interesting. I was like, oh, Rey Mysterio is going to be on SmackDown now, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, where did he come from? Where has he been this whole time? Is there a reason? Like, you know, I was a little bit more of a mark, I suppose, as a kid in the terms of like I had no concept of time. You know, like I had no idea like how long or how, you know, what the legacy had been of wrestling before I started watching it. So, you know, they would refer to feuds that happened or refer to like storylines or even wrestlers, and I'm like, oh, that could have been like, as far as I know, like everything was 2 years ago. Essentially, that's long and short of it. Everything could have easily been 2 years ago, and not 10 or even more or less. Like I just had, that wasn't a thing to me. So like wrestlers not being in WWF at the time, to me, I was like, oh, maybe they had been. I just hadn't seen that. Maybe they had been like 3 years ago, and now they're back. I don't know.
All those people would have had the same level of mystique to you, the same level of a legacy. So when Ric Flair came in at the tail end of the invasion,
I wanted to get into that as well, actually, because I do remember my opinion on Ric Flair, and my assumption on Ric Flair was that he was a WWE guy who had maybe just left like 10 years ago, and it was a big deal. Right. Well, he sort of was and he wasn't.
He was very much a WCW guy who, bang on 10 years ago, had a pretty good run in WWE. Had some great matches with a tear in my eye. This is the greatest moment. Turn into Dusty Rhodes for a second. My life. And that's why a lot of people at that time would have been like, okay, great. Rickles, here he comes.
Rickles, stop with the Rickles. Rickles, man.
It's fucking Hulk Hogan's in my head. I can't help it. But at least even those people who were just WWE through and through, they would have had an understanding of who he was. You look at the guys who came over during the invasion, and I understand what you're saying in the sense that you can still do great storylines, and you have to look at what is there in front of you without the Goldbergs, the Hogans, the Ric Flairs. But now we're getting into the topic of what it could have been.
Yeah, and that's it. I think most people hate on it because of what it wasn't. And I'm like, I only found out what it wasn't decade afterwards. Like I said, like, you know, it was almost like as a wrestling fan, I was a kid and I only cared as a kid about what was going on. I feel like, you know, most people I know who I talked to about wrestling, like we wouldn't have been far off the same age, even me and you. It was like, you know, do you remember the invasion when it happened?
I wasn't watching at the time.
Fair.
I was too small.
Yeah, like for me, it was confusing because I didn't really understand the gravity of it, but I didn't understand the gravity of most of the storylines going on. So I still enjoyed it. And it's like I said, going back to Phantom Menace, it's like everyone can shit on what it should have been and all the dumb things that were in it that like clearly there was some very weird creative decisions being made at the time. But you've also got to realize it's just a product of its time. You know, it was everyone has the product, has the luxury and has the ability to look back in hindsight and be like, wow, you could have done this. I watched them not too long ago, which was What Cultures, Adam from What Culture doing how they should have pitched the invasion.
Oh yeah.
And it's so funny because how they should have booked it, but like it's funny to me because they set this precedent like, okay, well we're gonna try and avoid talking about, you know, like bringing in people that they couldn't because they had money restrictions, and his pitch still becomes something that like it's just a fantasy. It's like, come on, man, like none of that could have happened. Like immediately he's like, yeah, so we're gonna throw that window. So the first thing I would have done is bring in the NWO. It's like, nigga, like these guys were sitting on money. Like that was never gonna happen. Like
Scott Hall was neck deep in booze at the time. He didn't care.
He was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait until all this blows over. Then we're gonna come in at our own pay-per-view, just like the good old days.
It was dumb. Like his pitch is amazing. By the way, it's like movie level. What he pitched just as a booking, I'm like, yeah, that would have destroyed the wrestling world. But you've had 2 decades to sit and mill on what could have been. Unfortunately, that's not what could have been. But yeah, that's
Too many
the
egos,
hot take, man. It's the hot take. It wasn't even that bad. And the thing that I find a lot of retrospectives say, like the star that walked away from it was RVD. I'm like, I'm happy with that. I'm happy that RVD managed to become a star of his own right before people like Goldberg and, you know, the whole NWO clique came back, and it's like that actually worked out. Booker T and RVD got a good start before the bigger names from both their promotion, well, more WCW, would have come along and not given them a chance to have any limelight. They would have just been probably mid-carders forever had they not got a chance to be established before these other guys.
But this is what I was going to say to you about. It was pretty much bang on this topic. Who really came out of it looking like a star? And you've got RVD, fantastic. RVD came out of it as a fan favorite. It was probably like the only real fan favorite in the Alliance. I can't really think of anyone else who people would just like start cheering for out of nowhere. And that's the issue with the star power in there. There was no star power. You had Rob Van Dam, and I personally think that the whole thing should have been built around Booker T. I think Booker T should have come in as the fucking leader. I went down with this company as the last champion. I'm going to lead us, and we're going to fuck you over. We're going to take it over.
Yeah.
Booker T was the star to be made. He had the charisma, the ability, the look, the physique.
Well, I feel like he did. Like, he did have that angle. Maybe not so much as the leader, but like he did have that angle at one point. I do remember, like from my actual memory, I haven't even gone back and watched much of the Alliance. I've gone back and watched the last episode of Nitro in the first like week of Raw from the buying point, because obviously it still took months before the invasion really started. Yeah. But from what I remember, like when Booker T came in, he was quite like, I don't know if there's a term for it, but like, you know when someone comes in and is like,
who's the catalyst?
Like no one, like they basically are like they knock down everyone. They wipe the ring whenever they get in. Like, you know, they one bang everybody. Like he was that person for a little bit. Like when he first came in, he was like he's doing this five time thing, and like the whole point was like only The Rock could actually like silence him. And even I was worried that The Rock was going to lose. I didn't even like Booker T. Mainly because everyone said I looked like him, and I hated that. I did look like a little mini Booker T when I was 9. I'll try and find a picture, but yeah, I looked like a little Booker T.
5-year-old.
And the crazy thing is, I loved doing the Spinneroonie as well. So it was almost like I hated this guy, but I loved him. And like, you know, looking back at it, I still prefer his moveset over The Rock's. Like, you know, he was the better wrestler. Like, but now we're getting into it. You know,
I mean, The Rock had a Uranagi as his finisher, the rock bottom,
which apparently he stole from Booker T.
Bookend.
Booker T
had the fucking scissor kick. What a move! Or as Vince would say, what a maneuver!
Apparently he stole the "Do you smell what I'm cooking" as well from Booker T as well.
No. Oh, I need to do research now. That's making me angry.
Oh man, there's basically, I saw something, you know, my algorithm is crazy, but I saw something basically Booker T's trying not to shoot, because I think he's trying to be as neutral as possible, and he's like, I don't want to be starting anything. But someone asks him, you're like, you know, oh, how I've heard a rumor that like a lot of things that The Rock does was actually copied from you, and he's like, I'm not going to deny it. You know, I don't want to start anything, but he said, yeah, like the bookend. He's like, and then he's like, what came first, the bookend or the rock bottom? And he's like, bookend. He's like, okay. He's like, what about some other things? He's like, you know, there was some catchphrases and things like that. But then Book justifies him saying like, you know, we were stealing from them, they were stealing from us. You know, they'd see something, you know, it was like homework. You know, we all see things that would work on their shows, we would take it. You know, and I think he did the same thing. He saw how Book was trash talking. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take a few of those phrases and use them on my side.
You would call it inspiration, as long as you're not stepping on any of your own guys' toes.
Yeah,
You're not like going in and be like, see what Stone Cold's doing, that middle finger thing. That's mine now.
yeah. I think I'm gonna get some energy drinks and then get someone to chuck me energy drinks at the end of the match and start smashing them.
Yeah, where were we?
I think we're at the end of it. Really, I was just trying to trigger a whole bunch of wrestling fans, letting them realize that, you know, you're like entitled nerds. Okay, you're as bad as comic book fans and Star Wars fans, and the Invasion's not that bad. All right, I can come up with 5 storylines that were way worse than the Invasion. Not right now. Give me time. Like you guys had time to shit on the Invasion. Give me time.
We start with Katie Vick.
Oh God, yeah. Like immediately.
Probably the worst storyline of all time. There's so many.
Oh, one I saw the other day that I was just like, who the fuck came up with this? Because this is awful. And that's the Trish, Christian, and Chris Jericho love triangle.
Oh, that was bad. It was okay in the sense that we got some good matches out of it. All 3 of them are excellent performers, but they shouldn't be subjected to that shit.
That was awful. I was like, okay, so you're telling me the storyline here, I'd love to come up with some visual. The storyline being here that Chris Jericho saved Trish previously from an attacking. They start flirting, having a whole little thing. And then from there, they date. Him and Christian get into a tag team. Christian starts basically blaming Trish for them losing matches. Chris Jericho gets kayfabe injured. Christian blames Trish. Basically, is being really mean to Trish. That then leads to them falling out, having a match at which, she accidentally costs him the match.
Is this the WrestleMania match you're thinking of?
Yeah, someone cost someone other the match. Yeah, and then yeah. So she accidentally costs him the match, and then she heel turns on Jericho.
Fuck it.
For Christian, the man who had previously been pulling her hair, calling her a whore and a slut, and looking for opportunities to essentially like beat her up. Like, she gets punished and has to be put in a match against him, and he says, I'm going to lay down for you, and then doesn't lay down, like pretends to lay down, throws off, and then just fucking clotheslines the shit out of her. She chooses him over Jericho.
Yeah.
2 weeks
Stockholm syndrome.
I'm not even talking like month. I'm talking like 2 weeks later. She chooses
on
Jericho.
the grandest stage of them all,
and it's like
she snogs him.
And it's like, guys, you realize that what? Like, there's no hero story here. She chose the abusive partner. Why?
Fucking novel writers who are men struggle to write women respectfully. You think the WWE writing staff understand women? They have no idea. Fucking wrestling's idea of women back in the 2000s, and to some extent today, is they do something really good and they'd be like, yeah, I won. I'm going to take my top off. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And in a way, we should be grateful that Trish was just necking on with the person who assaulted her instead of just like degrading herself.
And my God, watching any of that and actually listening to the commentary is bad because yes, of course, like JR is trying so hard, but I don't know how to put it. Like, he's trying so hard to put off all the fucked up things that Jerry's saying, but it's like, I think it makes it equally as awkward. It's almost like a perverted uncle and the uncle that's trying not to get caught being a pervert.
The really old-fashioned uncle who's got really skewed views.
We respect women from where I'm from, he says, looking just at her boobs. It's almost like Lawler's like, oh, do you see the things hanging off her chest? Do you see him? And he's like, and then he's like, yeah, I see him. It's like, I don't know how I feel about his response.
How can I not see him? It's her right to have him out heaving in my face.
It's like, I don't know if he's the good guy here. He's just docile. He's a docile pervert.
That's Grandad JR. And he wants to slobber on them knockers.
It's like, it's almost like JR's like, look, boobies! Like, I'm trying to masturbate. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Could you have some respect?
Jesus Christ.
Aren't you glad we're watching wrestling now and not back then? Well, actually, no, we would have been like 7 and 8 back then, so we would have loved it. But now we understand.
Yeah, I was watching, and it was weird because I wasn't quite at a point where I cared about how big Trish's boobs were. I remember a turning point where I feel like I liked Stacy Keibler and Lita a little bit, but then like I don't know. I think seeing them fight threw me off a little bit. Like,
You kind of had that mentality. Oh, they're pretty. They're cool. I like them. I'll be their friend.
but see, I think as a kid, because they did not hold back on showing you like, you know, the diva fucking front covers of shit.
Yeah. They were all on Playboy at one point.
Yeah, like you were exposed to them being sexualized quite a lot, and I was like, yeah, I'm still just a kid here, just here for the Rock. Oh look, some boobies.
And that's just The Rock.
Mom, what's a bra and panties match?
Zach!
Is that normal?
I do have a legit story along those lines, because back in 2003 they released a Trish Stratus DVD, and I was one of those kids who always like looking at the special features. That was always the most fascinating part to me. I watched behind the scenes.
Where's this going? What sort of Vince-sanctioned bullshit are you about to describe to me?
It's probably closer than you'd expect. I was like 8, and there were bits on there. Their Mad TV Awards. Oh, her and Chris. Oh, what a time. They do have fun. And then there was one with Steve Blackman. And the problem is, I had such a naive, innocent way of viewing it. And I was one of those kids who always got his mum to watch things where he was like, Mum, look at this. This is so cool. And then
Mum, watch this with me. Watch this with me. She's like, no, I don't want to watch wrestling with you.
I'm not watching Tenacious
Fucking
D again.
Weird show that you like to watch where grown men have the weirdest dramatic arguments and then body slam each other.
In her head, she's like, I'm going to tell him it's fake. I'm going to do it.
No, she knew I knew.
Oh, okay.
I didn't care. I was just like, yeah, but The Rock.
You ruined it.
He's doing the eyebrow thing.
Yeah, you're just doing it to your mum. Just, eh? But, you know Steve Blackman.
Yeah, I laugh at his name. I'm always sniggering at his name.
That's our tag team name.
It's our fusion.
We have combined.
I love it. You keep your name and I just become my identity.
Sorry, it's the
black
whitey
man.
in me. It just happens.
No, I was completely on board with it. Like,
Just a massive high five. Yeah! But Steve Blackman, he, I saw the video and I saw the name of it. It was on the DVD. And I said to my mum, look at this. Not realizing what it meant. And I thought it was Steve Blackman helping Trish change her ways. Like, it's going to help her turn around her life, you know? So I go, Mum, let's watch this. Steve Blackman helps Trish change.
oh my God. And that's just a DVD extra feature, is
Yeah.
it? Of
It was a
course.
different time, you know?
It was a different time. I think we're taking that back now. That's not what we use for like extreme sexism or racism. No, it's just the weird shit that was greenlit on WWF
Yeah.
back in the day.
It was a different time. You could power bomb an old woman off the stage. Do what you wanted.
You know, a white redneck and a black man can be brothers.
And that's probably one of the more wholesome parts of the era. We've not had a chance to speak about this. I just wanted to give a moment to pay tribute to Reverend Devon as a character.
We wouldn't have Batista without him.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to come on to that later.
Because I actually, do you know what? I forgot because I saw something that was talking about debuts, and I was like, oh yeah, like as I mentioned before, like, you know, I almost forget that there are many current wrestlers that, well, not so current, but you know, 2000s era wrestlers now whose debuts I'd seen and almost forgotten, like, you know, not really clocked that I'd actually have seen their origins. Sorry, I'm so gassy. We're drinking too much beer and cider.
I'm in that boat as well, don't worry.
Yeah. I remember early. I almost forgot that I remember early. Was it Deacon Batista?
Deacon Batista and Reverend Devon.
And he'd carry around that fucking case,
The donations box.
that he would use as a weapon. Yeah, it was ridiculous. And like, all I want to know is whose idea was Reverend Devon?
It has to be Vince.
He's
It
like,
has to be.
all right, we're separating the Dudleys. Bubba, you keep doing the table thing. You're fine on
You're
Raw.
doing great, buddy.
Devon, you're gonna turn to religion. What? Yeah, I can see it now. You come out to a gospel song sung by you.
By you! That's not him!
Well, that's him going, oh, testify.
Yeah, but that's not him singing.
No, that's women.
Call my name!
It's not many wrestlers actually do have a part in their theme. So him just coming out, oh, testify.
You know who's coming. And it's one of the best wrestling themes ever. I don't know what it is.
I haven't heard this song in like 15 years and I still remember all the words.
It's embedded in everyone who heard its brains. And it's even better watching Deacon Batista just like stumbling out like a zombie to that music. Like, I hate my life.
But it's actually really weird on a separate note to talk about themes. Like, I realized deep in my subconscious are all the old like rock and metal albums I listened to as a teenager and every wrestler's theme ever. I don't know why. Like, all it takes is like a single note and I know who it is. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Why do I know this much? Like, I was watching again my 2003-4 binge and like people coming out and like I'm singing the rest of their theme and I'm like, I don't even remember, like, where is this coming from?
I don't even know who that is.
Why do I know this theme? Like, oh my god, I need help.
Even the shit themes. You'd remember them.
Even the shit ones.
We're talking about like people who had a part in their entrance. Snitsky came out in like 2005 with something, and it just goes Snitsky, and then dun 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 dun. And if that was to come on in a club, I'd go fucking mental.
Like, I didn't realize that I knew some of the words from fucking. Do you remember Stephanie McMahon's weird DX fucking? You know how there was like 3 separate songs that were sort of like B-sides to the original DX song.
You had King of Rock.
Like, you know, everyone loved Are You Ready? But do you remember Stephanie McMahon's weird one was like literally the same riff, but sort of like it was almost like someone looped the last 10 seconds of the track, like, and then like just got the vocalist back like, can you just say some random phrases about things you're not gonna do? And he's like, okay, I'm not gonna let anybody tell me who I'm gonna be.
Triple H's theme song. That's my time. White So, is this on? Wow, wow, wow.
But she always got the end of it. Like, they would only play the and then like the end parts of the lyrics of that.
So she only gets half the sentence.
Yeah, so like you didn't even give her the song properly. You gave her like a weird remix of. But yeah, My Time is just a fucking shitty B-side to the DX theme.
Low key a banger. I'm not gonna lie.
It's alright, but the original DX song was better. Also, you remember X Factor?
Now you will be dealing with the X Factor. I worked all my life.
What the fuck is going on there? It's like, you got the guy in to say X Factor, and like, okay, he's like, unless you start paying me double, I'm not doing any more songs for you. He's like, it's alright, we got the line out of you. We'll get someone else for the rest.
Fucking get your iPod, whichever song comes on. That's it. Oh, what's that? Fucking Elton John. Put that on. That'll do. It's only X-Pac. No one likes him.
Even X-Pac, his theme for the longest time was just a remix of the DX theme. It was like, make some noise, X-Pac.
X-Pac.
Continue with
Think
DX
you can
theme.
tell us what to do.
Boom, boom. It's like a slap bass version. It's like a redux. Like, I don't know what else to call it.
DX covered by Primus.
It's so fucking dumb.
Primus sucks it.
So I don't know how they got people in for these, but I do feel like for a lot of themes they get abandoned. They're like, we've got like 3 songs, but if you could just like make 2 others on the spot, we might give them to some wrestlers later in the future. And I swear you can spot the songs where it's like, you didn't choose the song. They like Vince and he just give me the B list of songs. That one, give him that one. But sir,
that's such good shit.
That's a song weirdly descriptive, talking about, you know, how they're the color red and how they dominate in the sky. I don't care, give it to this guy. But he's an Asian. It's
Red Funaki. Oh, look at him.
We'll make it work. just add another adjective to his name.
What's the Japanese face? The Red Sun. The Red Sun Funaki. Oh, that's got us cancelled.
Oh man, Funaki. Who's the other one?
Taka Michinoku.
I can't believe I forgot that. How did I forget Taka Michinoku?
I mean, it's a really fun name to say. I'm not even going to try saying it 3 times fast. But he also has the greatest Royal Rumble spot of all time.
Does he?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you've never seen this? The greatest Royal Rumble elimination ever.
No, I don't think... I don't recall
I feel like
this.
we need to watch it now.
Let me pull out the tablet.
Get the Smarkatron 3000.
Opening my cider. My keys ruin all the audio. I can't hear. I'm probably not close enough to the mic, I realise.
We'll be fine. We just wing it. That's what we do.
We need a tablet anyway, because I'm realising now I spent most of my mind prep, because I didn't really prep the doc that much this week. Most of my mental prep just planning on talking about the invasion. I feel like we got over it quite quickly, actually.
I think we have. But...
I was really hoping for more fight back from you, really.
Oh, you can have some fight back if you want.
Just agree, because you realise my words were just ringing so true.
I think it's more because I didn't want to upset you. Because when we think about it...
You didn't even watch the invasion!
Not at the time!
You weren't even there!
Who was the main character for WCW of the invasion?
DDP.
You just ruined it for yourself! He was too busy trying to shag Sarah!
Come on, we know it was Vince McMahon!
No! It was Stone Cold!
Like, the main character's always Vince.
Oh, it's always Vince.
Who is the hero of the story? Vince.
Yeah, of course it is. It's his boys! We're not gonna let that
in all honesty,
redneck company beat us!
I think, again, I feel like we're going back into it. I feel like people are expecting... People feel like it should have been WCW. It's like, no. Like, to me, again, yes, looking back, it seems dumb now, but genuinely, Stone Cold switching sides was fun, and I don't know, I accepted it at the time. I was like, yeah, seems like... And it only made sense because it seemed like it made sense for Stone Cold to screw everybody, because that's what he does. Stone Cold is unpredictable and mad. Like, why the fuck would Stone Cold care about being loyal to anybody?
Yeah, but in that case, why would he be loyal to WCW? What would
He
have been fun?
He was a
if he
chaos.
was his own team.
He was an agent of chaos. That's honestly how I viewed it. I feel like we're like, don't you understand? The rattlesnake has always been.
It's what he does.
It's like the deep spiritual choices of Stone Cold. Don't you remember in 1999? Look at what he did. And now he'll turn up. Honestly, it just. The one that was annoying to me was Kurt Angle. Like, I hate when Kurt Angle switched sides.
Yeah, same. He was a sleeper agent or a double, triple, quadruple agent.
They all were.
Yes. We want the old Stone Cold. Do you mean the Stone Cold from 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? Because I can't even remember what side I was on at the time, you know.
I realized this was for you. You're supposed to be searching something for us.
Yeah. We're going to find the greatest Royal Rumble elimination of all time. Where's YouTube? Piece of shit Samsung. Stupid company. There it is, the third option. Tachimika no Uku.
What year is this?
2000.
2000 Royal Rumble. Fuck.
Yeah.
I've probably seen many highlights of this.
And here is a video of it with 2000 pixels. There's his teeth.
Oh, I have seen that. There's me thinking it's like some Kofi Kingston level shit.
Kofi Kingston hasn't got it right in years.
Like, you know, he does something cool. It's an actual, like, interesting limit. No, he fucking lost.
You should know me.
He did
by
a Mick
now.
Foley and fucking lost actual teeth in a wrestling match.
Mick Foley, but in Japanese.
Fucking hell. Yeah, I've actually seen that clip before. I had forgotten. I didn't remember. I didn't realize it was him and that was his name.
Oh, okay. Just another Japanese man from Kai and Tai.
Speaking, I feel like going back into the gimmicks. I do recall a gimmick that I didn't appreciate at the time. Although I did start to later on in my life, but now I
Choose your words carefully here, because I feel like I know where you're going.
The Evil Indeed gimmick.
Indeed.
The having two guys come out speaking Japanese and being dubbed. In front of a light. Fucking hilarious. Like, it was, they were ahead of their time. WD was ahead. Because now, that would be fucking jokes. Especially with the way that people consume anime nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
That would be such a... In fact, Asuka should just start doing that now. Asuka should just start having a random woman, like, late dubbing her. Like, so she'd like, ah, da, 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 da. Then, like, some, like, really English was like, you really want to fight me now?
I've seen the way you wrestle, and you are quite the champion. But I wanna... It'd be even better if they just didn't do any of it for real. Like, they just have a screen for, like, 30 seconds. And it's just like, well said.
That's what I mean, like, because Asuka, like, you can go really far with it, because she's actually insane.
Oh, yeah.
So having her dubbed...
I'm so happy I'm going to get to see her wrestle on Friday.
Oh, fuck, man. Well, you going to SmackDown and Money in the Bank?
£150.
For both?
Yeah.
Fuck, man. What? I might start looking for tickets. What am I
it's
doing
like,
Friday night?
It's like $2,000 now. I got these like 20 minutes.
There'll be a shady bloke outside selling tickets that may or may not be real for about 100. I'll risk it. I'll fucking risk it.
Do you want to go see the grappling and grunting? Oh, that's just my dad. Fucking hell.
Do you want to see the grappling and grunting? No,
I'd
sir,
love to,
I will
but
not
the
come with
wrestling's
you
on.
down the alleyway.
Oh. What we were saying about the invasion, though. The problem I find with it. Maybe we can have this as like the through line of the episode. Every now and then we'll come up with a point.
Back to the invasion. Why I'm right.
I'm trying to think of the characters who I remember from the invasion. And obviously you had like your stars like RVD and Booker T. But I don't think of those guys when I think of the invasion. I think of Buff Bagwell. I think of Sean Stasiak.
Yeah, like I see. You just named two people that I've forgotten because they were forgettable.
Yeah,
for a reason.
They were the main characters.
They weren't the main characters.
They were.
Buff. I remember Buff coming in for a little bit, but like, didn't he get bounced for being a dick?
Yes, he did get to main event Raw. At which point, everyone started leaving the arena.
Yeah, that was. I watched that. I watched that one. Yeah, that was bad booking.
That was very bad booking.
Because I think what's sad is you can tell in the face of Booker T during the match, he's like, this is not what these people want to see. These people don't want to see us. They don't like us. Like, but I think what's even more interesting is like, I think it still is a testament to like the times in terms of like fan engagement. Because nowadays, if say somehow WCW didn't die then and it was quiet now, I feel like the fan expectation would be even harder, even stronger with like a merger like that. And I think it'd probably go down even worse today than it did go back down then. And I think the only thing that would make it easier now is that because people have such access to like wrestlers' lives and, you know, social media engagement, I think you would have a better understanding of why you weren't getting what you wanted. That's the only thing.
People know the industry more and they know what's going on in these real human beings' lives.
No one had a clue that Sting and Goldberg were refusing to wrestle for Vince McMahon. Like, I only found this out a year ago. Like, you know, and like, only because, you know, well, obviously Goldberg came around. He was like, okay, yeah, that is a lot of money. Oh, I only have to wrestle like 5 times. I get to beat everyone except Triple Who.
Oh, he's gonna bury me.
Well, then I'll leave. But no, genuinely, like I've seen that like Sting, I think, has realized he was somewhat he's regretful but not regretful. Like was all towards it. I think like, you know, he was proud of himself for sticking by WCW and not just by WCW, but sticking by his guys.
Yeah. And I think his decision's been vindicated as well with his run in TNA.
True. The only thing I thought was ironic was they were talking about how our guys were treated. Like I didn't come because I was seeing how guys were being treated. I was like, see, I think that was where they were dumb, because your guys were on TV on the biggest promotion on the planet for wrestling, and you were fading into obscurity.
You wrestle in abyss.
Like, you fucked off. Like, it's like, I'm sorry, but look at it this way. There was a period of time where Lance Storm was getting more TV time for a good 5 years than Sting. Like, who won? Sting, did you really win? Because, let's be honest, his 21st century wrestling years aren't that fondly looked at. I know of Sting from the 90s, a 10-year run that I didn't even ever see the man. I heard of the guy.
But it's what you picture. You don't picture TNA Sting.
Yeah.
You picture the Crow coming down from the fucking rafters.
The guy that I used to confuse for the Ultimate Warrior before I realized that's early Sting. Like,
I know exactly what you mean, and I hate it.
come on. He was totally seeing Ultimate Warrior's stick until he was like, okay, I'd like to switch this up.
Just wait till we talk about the Renegade. Oh.
But yeah, like, going back to that again, it's one of the things I don't like when people try and shit on the invasion. It's like, oh, but all these people, they should have got in. I was like, yeah, but if these people weren't willing to do it, how are you complaining about what you got? Like, it's not Vince's fault that these guys wouldn't wrestle. It's not anyone's fault that
Then don't do it.
Now be realistic. You've just bought WCW.
Just as in 3 months ago. Why not just release the crap? Who needs Sean Stasiak?
See, this is the thing. This is why I thought about this last night when I was talking about his rant. I was like, I think I got in my feelings a little bit. I was like, here's the one thing about the whole situation, because I think it was also after revisiting Adam from What Culture's idea of how it could have been booked. I was like, what he pitched is the invasion would have been better if they didn't include ECW, that if they just bit the bullet and paid for certain guys to be there and maybe didn't get other guys in. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but what you're suggesting is, for the sake of making more people happy, being us, the fans, the marks, he should have basically fucked off most of the guys they brought in, not given jobs to like 20 guys and just given us the NWO from the start. And I'm like, come on. Like, in fact, that should be a testament to Vince. I think no one's talking about. He chose to give jobs to more guys than to pay the guys that wanted shit tons of money.
Yeah, but why did he have them on TV? Look at DDP.
At least he gave them something. He put them on TV.
Eat shit. Come on.
Listen, like, he treated, at least you can say he didn't just do it to divas. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
He did it.
The divas probably got away with it the most, actually.
Stacey Keebler had a fucking great time.
She had a great time.
Overly sexualized. He was like, yeah, he's been doing that to Trish this whole time. At least he's giving me a chance.
Fucking, he threw Trish in a fucking bucket of sick.
Like, I've got a slow bend through the ropes again.
Oh no, guys are looking at my ass. The money. Oh,
the money.
I'm gonna get married to George Clooney one day.
Anyway, Diamond Dallas who?
Oh yeah, that's traumatic, isn't it? Poor fucker. That entire Sarah angle. And then, like, it didn't even get any better because he did the whole self-help thing. I like me. You like me, and that's why you like you. Released. It's not fair. It isn't fair. But
I actually completely forgot about the last thing you wrote on this document. I was like,
oh shit.
Fuck.
Oh yes.
But
which could it be?
You know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I feel like I'll stop talking about the invasion because I will just keep complaining. I feel like I've already made the point I wanted to make, which it wasn't that bad. And let's be honest, it could have been better, but and my but's the same thing I said before. But Booker T and RVD,
I'll take it.
Because, like I said, the other way around, guarantee we wouldn't have got them. They would, like, maybe RVD because he already was huge. He was, like, probably the biggest ECW star at the time.
He absolutely was.
He was undeniably, like, over regardless. Like, I loved RVD from the get-go.
I'll give you credit in the sense that you look at what happened to Taz. He makes Kurt Angle pass out for his first ever loss on his first night. 3 months later, he's fighting Jerry the King Lawler. 3 months later, he's the fucking SmackDown commentator. And this was all like a year and a half before the invasion. So I suppose it did help a few people. It also gave us Botchamania, so
It's Taz! And like, I don't know, like people can complain all they want about the people that it's like, but let's be honest. As much as you can say, oh, he just wants to bury WCW guys, like, but did he? Pretty sure. Let's just list the people that have been on WCW and WWE and have won gold, because there's a lot of them.
there is a lot of them.
A lot of them. I'm sorry, did Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit not become?
But they didn't come over in the invasion.
It doesn't matter. They still came over.
They're a different breed.
And like,
They're turncoats.
unlike unlike certain people that, like, you know, were big names in WWE went there, or like came during the invasion, they were actually somewhat respected in WCW and then turncoated and came over. They made the right choice and were rewarded for it.
Thrown a bone. But now they're both dead.
And like I said, I feel bad for saying it, but it's like at least Vince still gave opportunities to some of them, because he could have just not done, like you said, he could have just not done it because he wasn't going to get the stars he wanted. He could have been like, fuck that, okay, fine. These guys still needed work or still wanted to wrestle. I'm sure most of them still wanted to wrestle, and he let them.
For some of them, it was either that or working
The indies.
at Dixie's.
Yeah, disappear into obscurity, go do some indies, do some fucking appearances, like here and there, and hope you get the call one day.
I'm Meat Stasiak, manager of Walmart. It'd be a great gimmick, by the way. He just wants to break back into wrestling, so he does it for free on the weekends.
Oh, Swan Stasiak. He's the one I had forgotten about until recently, and I was like, oh, that guy! I remember that face.
Then you got really upset. Oh, I remember that phase. I mean, he's tagged with Brock Lesnar in the UK.
What?
Insurrection 2002 to face the Hardy Boys. I had it on VHS. I'm not proud.
I forgot about Insurrection. Insurrection was one that was always in the UK, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rebellion and Insurrection. Back when they did 2 a year.
Back when William Regal was
The commissioner.
what was the face of every fucking UK event. It's like, oh, it's in the UK. Here's William Regal.
Here he is.
We're like, guys, fuck off. We're
British
done.
Bulldog's dead. You can have Willie.
Yeah, like, it's like, listen, like, just do a shout out to Davey Boy every now and again. Stop giving us Will. Like,
I mean, I fucking adore William Regal.
I've got such mixed feelings about him. I think he was funny and then misused and then weirdly pushed. Like that time he won King of the Ring.
King of the Ring. I mean, out of everyone, he made sense.
And was commissioner. And then
we don't talk shit about him being commissioner.
And then went crazy. This was all at the same time, for the record. for those of you who aren't clear, what I just mentioned all happened at the same time.
Same day.
It was all one day. In the space of 1 week, he won King of the Ring because someone did he beat CM Punk?
He beat someone big. He did.
This was 2012.
No, it's 2008. 2008, I believe. So it would have been prior to CM Punk's big push. But it was going to be William Regal getting a big push. I don't know if he was going to win the title, but like, he was going to be main event stuff.
That's why it was weird. Because I was like, that's my alarm. That's the alarm to say that we need to go on a little break. In fact,
that is tranquil as fuck. Pretty sure that is William Regal's old entrance music.
It's nerdy as fuck. Shout out to Steven Universe fans.
Oh God,
being heard, Steven Universe.
We love you, Tumblr. How's that?
There we go. That's a jab.
Shall I start again?
Wow. Yeah,
was it picking me up? It wasn't picking me up.
No, because it was on the wrong channel.
So,
technicals. But at least I noticed it. We didn't talk for too long.
We grow ever more by the day, by which I mean each episode. But a couple of weeks ago, we had
the privilege
of having a nice conversation about Jimmy Superfly Snooker.
Superfly.
Superfly. Super Hooker Killer.
Super Killer.
We kind of got a little bit more of a glimpse as to the shady side of wrestling.
Yeah. Corporate control, billionaire. Yeah, just
murderous rampages.
Oh, man.
But I think that was quite a nice entryway into understanding just what these people are capable of. Because
Are we going to start talking about steroids?
oh, the steroids that's the tip of the iceberg.
Steroids were rife. We all know that.
Who the fuck wasn't doing?
all know that.
Yeah, which is why Hogan was like, "Shit, brother, they got me." So he threw Vince McMahon under the bus in '93.
Yep.
But I think it'd be nice because we had a nice little week off last week. We our mental health took a little time to recover. I think we get back at it. I think we have our own little dark side of the ring part 2.
I think the thing that worries me is that there's a lot of these. I know we talk, there's a lot of like messed up things, but you know, I'm talking about like kayfabe stuff. But like, we're talking behind the curtain. There's a lot to cover, and I'm scared. I'm scared where this is going because I haven't delved into that rabbit hole too deep. You know, I've seen your classics. You know, I feel like I'm trying to like divert away. I'm like, don't ruin wrestling for me.
Do it. No.
You know, I've seen what's that famous match where I can't remember his name. Something Jack. Crazy Jack guy.
New Jack.
Huh?
New Jack.
New Jack. What's it called?
He was in a Weezer song.
What is what's the match?
Is it the one where he throws him off the scaffolding?
No. What? No. Did he kill a man?
No.
No.
Well, New Jack, yes.
He nearly killed
that's
a man.
different.
Oh well, actually, no, I think he has killed a man, hasn't he? I don't know. No, the one where he slices that guy's head open.
Yeah, he was a cunt. Somehow he's still alive.
See, the scary thing about that is all the coverage of it is like no one says that he's a cunt. You know, everyone's almost like, yeah, the kid lied and blah 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 blah, and it was bad, it was stupid, but like, not a single person. It's almost like I don't know if they're afraid of him or they actually don't see it as that deep, or I don't know, they've been paid to not react. I don't know what's going on with that, but like, not a single person when they account for it is like, yeah, this guy was a fucking lunatic asshole.
I think it's a mixture of everything. It's definitely the first one. We're all terrified of him.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
never
no,
met the bloke.
he
He's scary.
fucking terrifies me. I'm like, why did anyone even like? I would refuse to wrestle with him, or were they too scared to not wrestle?
Not
with
wrestle
him?
with him. You're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't. He's gonna fuck you.
Oh,
He's
man.
gonna murder your ass.
Yeah, obviously that's more dark side of wrestling, and I've seen a few things on that because it was interesting because I had to know. I was like, wait, so what? A man just like straight took blading too far and sliced someone's head open because he pissed him off.
Well, he completely goes against the point of blading because you're supposed to blade your own head. You don't get New Jack to come in and do it for you.
And that's literally what most people say. Like, oh yeah, no, he shouldn't have got someone else to blade for him. I'm like, but that's
Especially not New Jack.
well, yeah, look at that man's forehead.
Cody would be nice to you.
Like that guy looks like he's had a spiked mallet pressed against his forehead many times for fun.
He's fucking wild.
Yeah, we're good to go. So yeah, man looks unhinged. Like the pictures of him alone, like I know there's a running theme of like, you know, ghetto niggas don't smile, but this motherfucker looks like he is gonna murder you for having taken a picture of him, having seen a picture of him.
Yeah, he's an SCP.
He's terrifying. But yeah, like I said, dark side of wrestling. There's so much like in-ring locker room stuff, but I feel like there's a lot of outside of stuff that's I don't even know, outside of the hemisphere.
That's a valid worry and a valid concern to have. So I think this time we will do something controversial, but not too deep, not too dark. So we're going to take a little look at a couple of things that the fabulous Moolah has done.
The fabulous Moolah, isn't she a legend?
She is a huge legend. She was one of the most important, pioneering, trend-setting women to have wrestled. She did a lot of great things for women's wrestling, and some that weren't great.
Oh no, I don't know about the not great.
You're about to. It's not that bad. So I think something that, just to give you a hint as to where we're going with this, is you know of the Montreal Screwjob, don't you?
Of course I do.
We're never going to touch on that because even the markiest of marks know that. Biz Markie knows who that is.
It's fun because actually, do you know what? I think, just talking about the Screwjob briefly, I would like to do an episode on the Screwjob where potentially in the future, I'd love to get my best friend in, because he's someone that we grew up watching a lot of wrestling together, and me and him have not spoken about wrestling since we were kids. I think I might have mentioned to him that I'm doing this podcast. I don't know, like I'm not sure he is even on his mind, but I'd love to just pull him in on the random with like barely any sort of briefing and just talk to him about wrestling now with like the newfound perspective I have, and maybe even talk about the screw job, because I feel like because it's such a basic like marquee thing to know, I know he has like the history and knowledge that I have of like the wrestling that we're talking about, especially from my day. But I don't think he knows about the screw job in detail. He knows that Bret Hart quit wrestling and was upset, but I don't think he knows in detail what happened, like
How it went
play
down.
for play, what happened. I think it'd be interesting to explain it to someone who, like myself, has been out of the loop, but isn't disinterested in wrestling, just has been out of the loop for a long time and has never looked behind the curtain like that.
It's gonna be a nice little babushka doll of smarkiness.
Yeah.
So we got Mega Smark here, and then Smark in training.
Up and coming Smark.
Mid card Smark.
That's a good one. I like that. Mid card Smark.
Mid card Smark.
Oh, mid card Smark.
It has a real nice ring to it. I don't know what it is. But then we get him in. He'll be the amateur. And then Gary comes in and he's going to be fucking Roman Reigns level. He'll upset everyone.
We'll call it making a Smark.
Making a smurderer.
But okay, yeah. So what I was doing on the side here is getting visuals of Fabulous Moolah, because I haven't really I haven't got a lot of like picture reference. Obviously, she was around for a long time, so she's changed and evolved in terms of looks.
When she was probably at her peak in terms of like modern day recognition, it would have been the 90s. It would have been like that cusp of the 2000s when she was feuding with people like Jeff Jarrett, Bubba Dudley, and she would have been obviously with Mae Young, who we love and adore, and rest in peace, Mae Young. So I think that sort of her in her 70s is what people think of her, which is a shame because she did have a long, incredible career, which women's wrestling wouldn't be where it is without her.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a shame that that's been reduced. 70-year-old woman just been put through a table off the stage. But
this was about May.
That was May.
Yeah.
And at the end of this, I will say May is the one I like. Moolah, I'm terrified of. And that's just her face.
It's just her face. She's dead, right?
Yeah, she's been dead a while.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to give you a keyword here, Savile. But if we have a look into sort of the dynamics of this, I know I was mentioning the Montreal Screwjob. That's not the original Screwjob. There is literally in wrestling the Screwjob, and it involved the Fabulous Moolah.
Okay. I don't know about the original Screwjob.
It's much more visceral than the Montreal Screwjob. Because it actually involved, like, obviously the Montreal Screwjob was literally, you put him in the move, he rings for the bell. This one was actually like holding down someone's shoulders and be like, you're fucking taking the pin. Let me just make sure I've got the facts right, which is very rare for me.
The only time I've ever seen anything like that, what you just described now, was where that sad moment of Sting forcing Jeff Hardy on a pin.
Oh, no.
Heartbreaking match.
It's sad because neither of us are TNA guys, but that's probably one of our core memories of Jeff Hardy. Yeah. He was my hero as a child.
Jeff. We covered Jeff. We talked about this. I did shit on Jeff a little bit the other week. I went a bit too far.
He kind of deserves it now.
Only because he's let me down. But I'm not getting back into that.
He's letting himself down.
So the Screwjob, capital
the Screwjob. Now, in the 80s, there was kind of a transition in terms of they were looking at some new, younger women's talent. And there was a really talented young woman called Wendy Richter. And she was kind of looking like the face of the new demographic. Moolah was being pushed to the side a little bit. Except she wasn't. Because she had a lot of power.
She had locker room power.
Locker room power, but it goes beyond that. So, there is a classic match, like proper classic sort of. The champion faces some bint, like the Spider Lady.
The Spider Lady.
That's not even me taking the piss. That's literally her name.
That was the gimmick.
That was the gimmick.
Did she have 8 legs?
No.
Then how is she a spider?
She had 4 because of her huge dangly flaps.
Was she a big lady?
She was a very familiar lady. She was wearing a mask with some orangey gold hair coming out the end.
Oh no. Oh no. I realised.
Who could it be?
Right.
It's Cyndi Lauper. No, it's not. That was about 3 years later.
Yes, indeed.
So she get Spider Lady getting her ass kicked, but she gets Wendy into a little pinfall. 1, 2, 3. The best part of this is the fact that it's Wendy Richter who rips the bitch's mask off, and it's Moolah. Moolah has just won the title in an unscripted way because of all the backstage power she has. Wendy Richter fucks off.
So wait, hold up. No one knows it's happening except for
Moolah and Vince.
Moolah and the ref.
Moolah, the ref, and Vince.
And was it a quick count?
Oh, it was a pretty quick count. I mean, bear in mind that it had to be because Moolah was like 60 at the time. Like, Wendy Richter was like a young up and comer. This was the equivalent of her doing this to, I'm not going to say Charlotte Flair because Charlotte Flair doesn't lose.
Oh, we'll see.
Oh, please, Asuka, please.
If she beats Asuka, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
I'll be screaming. You'll see me in the crowd.
I'll be. What time is it on? What time is it actually on Saturday?
Well, this match is going to take place on Friday on SmackDown. I'll show you a way of watching. But it'll be on at about. I think SmackDown will be on at 7.
Wait, it's not happening at Money in the Bank.
No. I've got the feeling that the match is going to end in a double count hour of disqualification, and then they'll do a triple threat with Bianca, Charlotte, and Asuka at Money in the Bank. Because there's 7 matches at the minute. I think they can fit 1 more in.
Oh right, so they're going to do a last minute announcement.
I think
match
so.
Tomorrow.
That's my general thing.
That's kind of cool. All right.
Or maybe they'll do Asuka versus Bianca 3 at SummerSlam or something like that.
We'll see. Probably a triple threat.
But it's the equivalent of them doing it to, we'll say,
Trish doing it to someone now.
Yeah.
Trish,
Who's an up and comer right now?
Trish just, I don't know, say, I don't know. Well, I get what you're saying though. Like, she just gets a quick roll up. She just gets a quick roll up out of nowhere for no fucking reason, in a mask, hiding her identity. Did Wendy know that she was actually fighting Moolah the whole time?
She probably had an inkling.
Like, she couldn't have been that dumb, right? She couldn't have been like,
No.
who's this person that is the same height and hair color and
has the same musk.
same old skin. But she went in thinking, I'm going to win this match because it's a nobody, even if it is Moolah in a mask.
Yeah. This is her face of the local developmental talent. This is her facing Barry Manilow from Prince Regent, you know?
Okay, but does she not assume she's getting a rematch?
She would have until she was held down for the pinfall and, like, forced into losing. But that's why this is so ridiculous. Because it was literally a case of manhandling a woman to get the belt off her because Moolah wanted the belt. And I think when you think of Moolah's legacy in terms of being someone who's trailblazed and done a lot for women's wrestling, can you think of a time a woman has held back the women's wrestling industry more than that?
No, surely not.
I can.
Wait, what?
Fabulous Moolah Part 2.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Wait, so she did it at 60?
Well, we'll call it the prequel.
Oh, okay. So there was something worse previously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we'll say she was in her 30s. So it would have been a very early time in the unfolding of women's wrestling. And as I said earlier, she was kind of like a front runner. She was leading the way, important. She was training young and up and coming women. You would call her probably an inspiration.
Except
she would be renting out houses for the wrestlers she was training. But bear in mind, this is the 50s. Do you want to know what their rent was?
like $1.
This is not adjusted for inflation. $1,800 a month. And she would take in 25% of their pay.
From wrestling.
Yep. Even if she didn't train them or wasn't their manager. So any woman in the wrestling industry at the time owed her 25% just for existing.
Wait, even if they weren't in the house?
Yeah. If she was getting booked in her territories. If they were getting booked in her territories. Pay up.
Who was enforcing this?
It's Moolah and the people she knew.
Okay. So this isn't a Vince job.
No, this would have been the 50s.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't think even Vincent J. McMahon would have been doing anything that time.
Or did he just have a clean enough record? We don't know about the crimes of Vince Senior.
I really want to, though. I want to know what the fuck he was up to. See, look, he was.
We can't tarnish him. He paved the way for what we have now. Without him,
that bastard.
We don't have this. We have nothing to talk about.
He did this.
We need the scandals.
It's the only thing making it worth it for some people right now.
So wait, so she was straight fucking like crime lording the whole female division.
Yeah. I think crime lording is a perfect way of wording it.
Badass.
Is it?
A little bit. It's like, you know what? It's like when you hear, and I'm gonna make myself look like a fucking evil person. I need to stop drinking cider. It's like when you hear about, 1,000 years ago, or maybe even like, a few centuries ago, when like you basically hear about how people got away with these crimes, yes, but it's almost like they were just hustles, and unfortunately they were just preying on the ignorance of other people. And it's like, fair enough. These people were too stupid. Not too stupid, that sounds so harsh, but you know what I mean? It's almost like not even able to, like, clearly in a situation where they couldn't do anything about it because this person put themselves in a position of power, but it's almost like, why don't you just move on and just replicate the hustle somewhere else? Why don't you just do what she was doing somewhere else? Fuck this. I don't want to be a part of this. I know what she's doing. I can go rent a house.
I'll go live with Aunt Sally.
I'll go set up my own independent wrestling. I'll use all the moves she's taught me. Like, come on.
If you move to a different town, you're working like in a completely different jurisdiction. She don't know you exist anymore.
Literally, this is the 50s, man. Like, you literally just need to steal a car and go to a different state. And just replicate all the things you learned from the other state and just pretend you invented it. I don't know. All I'm saying is, you're either the duper or the dupee.
You just put a mask on and you come up with a new gimmick, don't you?
That's not to say that is horrendous and what she's done is like, that's out. Like, the thing I don't understand, okay, the house slumlord shit, yeah, that's a classic formula. How did she get away with getting 25% of everyone who wrestled in her territory? That's to me, that's gangster. That's fucking gangster.
I mean, would you be surprised if wrestling at the time did not just have loads of criminal undertones?
Yeah, taking cuts of the tickets. Yeah.
Take the fall, buddy.
I want him to be the champion. He better be wearing the gold again.
Tony Two Shoes is going over, buddy. And there ain't a damn thing you can do about it.
He's holding the title for 150 days. You hear me? Any less than I'm breaking legs.
And he might do it for those days and I'm still breaking legs. Bada bing, bada boom. How you doing? I bet you feel like a real Joker right now, don't you? Feel like big man. You've laughed at the times gone by.
Oh man, it's horrendous. Really, like you have to laugh because it's bad. Some of this is really bad. You can only laugh
At that stuff. You have to laugh. But what about the fact that she was prostituting these women as well?
Oh fuck off!
She was.
No. No. So they were wrestling, and so she was a gangster. So she was not even like a gangster. She was a gangster who was also wrestling.
It wasn't a gimmick,
which is sort of makes her more gangster.
She was working up a sweat twice a night.
Like you hear about people like 50 Cent and Jay-Z, like they used to sell drugs and they were actual dope dealers. Snoop Dogg might have killed a bitch, but Fabulous Moolah, she had a whole fucking rink.
She was a pimp.
She was pimping, legit pimping.
Her pimp hand was so strong that she couldn't throw open punches.
I'm talking undefeated for X amount of days as women's champion, pinning motherfuckers, slapping bitches in the evening, running her own little slum house. I'm tempted to go into like a little Ric Flair fucking
the bitch stealing,
or wheeling. Don't give a fuck about your humanity, Fabulous Moolah.
I spoke to the custodian, and they said your stocks have gone up, mama.
Yeah, but for real, that's outrageous. I can't believe that. I have to believe it, but
I mean, this is why they had in, I think, about 2017, 2018, they had like a Fabulous Moolah trophy in WWE. It's like the Women's World Cup kind of thing.
Oh wait, so yeah, as you said, a Savile situation. Let's start calling it a snooker because it's funnier. But when were all these crimes revealed?
Very soon after she died.
No.
Now then.
So, now we're done mourning. We just found these documents.
Look what was in my wallet. It was a receipt from the fabulous Bessie, who I shagged 60 years ago.
Oh yeah, all these women are just coming forward. Like, all these accounts. Apparently they've been screaming about it all along for like 50 years.
So, my hearing's bad, It's full of such good shit.
You go back, it's like flashback, and there was all these signs like at wrestling matches all along. That was
people are just saying, house. She did it. It was her.
Oh my god, man. We need to light a note because we can't finish on that.
I have something for you.
Oh no, I don't like this grin.
Oh,
I've seen your notes, but I there's something you need to explain. But I don't want to say it. I'm waiting for you just to explain it.
Absolutely fine. It is that time again. I'm gonna do that again. Better cut that. It is that time once again. It is time for such good shit. The third.
Here we go. I'm 0 for 2 right now as we speak. Because it's just so hard. It's so difficult.
I don't know if I should be ashamed of myself or just be really proud of Vince.
No, you should be proud of yourself because I still can't get over the Mankind one. Like, I can't wait to create a visual for it.
You know what I enjoyed about that? You kind of just went with it on your own. You kind of like created the character in your head.
It was such good shit.
Yeah!
It actually was.
It was around the time Spider-Man would have been big. It was...
It made sense. It really did.
The worst part is, I was imagining him turning into a giant Mr. Socko, but you came back with a sort of like... It looks cool.
He transforms. Like, isn't like weekly he is transforming. It's almost like a Teen Wolf thing, but like better, like...
Yeah, he's an Animorph.
Yeah, like an animal, but like weekly transformation. Anyway, what have you got for me this week? Because you still got to top that.
Scum. That's what we got for you this week. Number 1, we have everyone's favourite hairy-backed man, A-Train, the 300-pound cruiserweight. So, the image was in Vince's head. He liked the idea of having A-Train be a little bit self-conscious about his weight. So, what he would do is he would force his way into the cruiserweight division.
How?
He's a wrestler.
By just turning up. By just... Yeah. Okay.
There was a one-legged wrestler.
There was a one-legged wrestler. What was his name?
Zach Gowen.
That was it.
Bork Laser beat up one-legged man. One of my favourite videos on YouTube. And essentially, he would fight his way into it, but it would literally just be Vince taking the piss. Or I'm assuming it would be that. Like body dysmorphia. But because he's hairy and 6'4", it's funny.
And for some reason, I don't know if I'm making up. Am I fever dreaming? Did he go by Prince Albert at one point?
Yes, he did. Of course he did. It was the Attitude Era.
Children, Google Prince Albert without WWE.
Just to clarify, that was Zach's recommendation. I'm not involved.
It would take a while. You'll get a lot of different results, but eventually you'll figure out the joke. When you're old enough, you'll figure it out.
You're preparing them for when they're older. You're doing them a favour, little bastards.
All I was saying is that then Google search Prince Albert WWE. Look at the man's face and piercings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, fair point.
I made the connection. Anyway, so
there is a really good character change we need to talk about with A-Train later on down the line.
Is there?
Yeah.
Is there a good character change?
By my standards.
He went through quite a few.
Yeah, but he went through a real big one.
And the problem was
through an ethnicity change.
Face was so distinctive that it just he was just the same guy. He was such a big body. Fucking what even was he?
He was just he was Brexit Barry but American.
I never hated him. He was weird. As A-Train, he was a bit weird.
I thought he was quite lovable. Like obviously, as a kid, I would have been like, "Oh, you shave your back."
You shouted "shave your back" at the man. You fucking bully.
I got what I deserved. It's okay. But he became Asian later in life.
Yep, I remember that. See, there's so many. It's horrendous.
You remember Lord Tensai?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I remember Lord Tensai.
I can't believe that. Why did he Lord Tensai? And then he teamed up with Brodus Clay.
Yeah. Brodus.
What was he?
Fucking Brodus.
He was the hip-hop hippopotamus.
Yes.
It was so good.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, well, I need to pee, but I want to hear the next one and make my decision. And I think we could even wrap after this. Potentially. Not start spitting bars.
That's up to you. I ain't getting involved.
I got beats. What am I able to?
Straight out of Blackpool, crazy motherfucker called William Regal.
Oh my god, wrestlers bars. Oh, we got this.
Your other option is probably the one that kind of caught your eye. Batista, rape baby. So we actually touched on this earlier on.
What, Deacon Batista?
Deacon Batista. The reason he was so angry with that is that he was conceived of rape. And in the eyes of the church, that's not particularly looked positively on. So he had to carry that around with him wherever he went, just like that big box they hit people over the head with. That's the whole thing.
That's it. That's just it. That. Simple that. Rape baby Batista.
Rape baby Batista.
Oh, fucking hell. You see, I'm thinking surely not rape baby because it has the word rape in it. But then I've been wrong every time. My instinct, and I will say my instinct was to go for the album just because I have seen so many dumb gimmicks with him. I believe that this was pitched 100%. Like the aforementioned Lord Tensing, whatever the fuck his name was.
Lord Tensing, he flexing though.
like, because I weirdly, again, not sure if it's a false memory, I do have a memory of Albert cross-dressing.
That was Vito, who was another bald man.
Are you sure it wasn't Albert as well?
Could have been.
I'm like 80% sure I've seen Albert in a skirt and leathers.
It makes a lot of sense. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just a thing about Matt Bloom, like the guy who played. I say it like he's a fucking actor. The guy who performed as A-Train. I could imagine him.
After all that, I was like, the man we're talking about.
I can picture him in a dress, and I don't like it,
Yeah.
but it works.
Okay, I'm not choosing that yet, but I'm just saying my instinct was to follow that because of that. But my instinct was to follow things that I thought based on previous knowledge every time, rather than going for the Vince option.
Oh.
Batista Rape Baby, as horrendous as it sounds, and as almost unbelievable as it sounds, I feel like you're preying on my previous knowledge, so I'm going to go with Batista Rape Baby.
Final answer.
Final answer.
You'll picture him, Vince McMahon, sat in a dark office just going, that Batista is raped. he wasn't raped. His mother was raped.
Yeah, because Vince is pitching Devon, as he loves to degrade black people, being the one that has to say this in front of a live crowd.
The correct answer is that Vince pitched Deacon Batista as the product of a rape.
Yes!
I can't believe I'm about to just say that sentence and applaud you. Well done, Zach.
I did it! I won one! 2-1. Let's
2-1.
go.
The comeback is on.
The comeback is real, Stephen.
I think it would have worked, personally. I think it was a sound gimmick.
I'm honestly just surprised that it didn't already and I just missed it. Like, it sounds like a part of the gimmick that I just maybe missed. That's the other reason I sort of just went for it. I was like, you know what? I can believe that I just missed that episode of SmackDown.
It would have been a one-off, but it would have been his whole character.
Devon's on a rant and he's like, Batista!
His mother the whore!
Oh, testify! I feel like he interjected with that a lot. Like, oh, testify! I almost like, because we talked about it today, it's like triggered all memories of like how much I did hate like Reverend Devon at the time, because I'm like, I just want to see him put someone through a table. I miss the 3D. Bubba's just fucking tagging with Spike now. It sucks.
Staying with Trish.
It fucking sucks.
Devon! Get the communal wine! I just want to start doing the sign of the cross, having a dance to that theme song.
But yeah. Oh well. Well, this might be our shortest recording.
It definitely is. And weirdly, I think it's our most focused recording.
We're doing well. We're getting better. We're getting better. There'll be less cutting. We're gonna have to cut all the slanderous talk of the Undertaker, because honestly, like, if there's one way we want to bury this podcast, it's to shit on one of the goats.
Weirdly, I think that would help us.
Maybe.
The chaos and the drama.
Should we have a disclaimer? Like, for the record, I do like the Undertaker. I don't love the Undertaker. Kane's better. Now I'm trying to piss people off. No, he is my favorite wrestler, so I will stand by it that he is better. I understand why people are not going to agree with me, because they're marks and need to get a fucking grip.
Need to get off Reddit.
Come at me, motherfuckers!
Actually, the greatest match ever was when Will Ospreay fought a broom in 2007 because the broom couldn't do anything, but he still carried it to a 5-star match.
Enough. Enough. Good night.
No, before we go, I just wanted to take a moment to say I am going to Money in the Bank this weekend.
Yeah,
SmackDown. I am looking forward to it, as Zach would be if he was in my shoes. I think there's quite a good conversation coming in terms of. Obviously, we're going to talk about Money in the Bank. Spoiler for everyone.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's going to be nice to actually, because I know you're a month behind on the wrestling. I think it's going to be nice to actually talk about what's going on right now.
The last thing I've actually seen was the new belts because I sort of made sure I saw them.
I'm so sorry.
I saw those episodes and I watched those. I actually watched a live Raw for about an hour just to see that. Can you imagine?
You got a VIP box, didn't you?
I don't pay for shit.
But I think it's going to be quite exciting, if I'm honest, to be able to take a little bit of time to look at the current landscape, see what's going on now, and to just chat shit about it all.
Yeah, because, to be very honest, like, I'm up to date with about, I'll give myself a generous 25% of the roster. And that's me, honestly, respecting the women's division and NXT, because I'm not going to count all of NXT as being relevant, but obviously having some knowledge of NXT helps now because, you know, there's crossover, people are crossing over, and, you know, I'm just not mark enough to actually watch 3 different wrestling shows. I barely watch any of them now.
It's hard, man, especially being in the UK.
Yeah, so I don't really, I want to respect NXT, but like I'm not watching NXT, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll watch some events. I will watch I see the premium section on the network. I'm like, I'll get around to watching NXT one eventually, but I'd rather go back to 2007.
Oh, this episode of Raw was really bad.
I'm sorry. I want to see the classics.
I want to see the 6'4" guys.
That's why it's there. Oh, anyway, that's enough. Good night for now.
Bye bye.